Good afternoon. It's good to be here with you all. I am Dr. Addae. I'm really excited to spend the next couple of hours with you all talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. My journey through life is one where I'm a basic case for how to do this work right, but also not right. I've been in various organizations, often as the only person of color in certain roles, and I had some really great experiences and some really terrible experiences, and so those help inform how we do this work and how I approach this work. So excited to be here, looking forward to having a great conversation. If you heard my voice on the radio, where would you think I was from, if you had to guess? Chicago, okay, all right. Let me get one more answer. If you had to hear my voice on the radio, you never met me, and you had to guess where I was from, where would you say? Washington, D.C., what'd you say?
You do have an amazing announcer voice.
I've been told I miss my calling with voice acting. Maybe I'll retire and pursue the TV commercial circuit. So these are the words that describe me, and there's so many more that we couldn't fit on the slide. The thing about identity that's interesting is, as Rita mentioned, there's what you think about yourself, and that often is in conflict with the world and how the world sees you. So 9 times out of 10, when I walk in the room, maybe 9.9 times out of 10, people say there's a black male. And based on how they perceive black men, there may be an entire set of stereotypes that come with that, or assumptions, some of which could be true, some of which may be far from true. I do identify as a black male, but I am also Ghanaian. My parents are from Ghana, West Africa. I'm the first person in my family born outside of the United States, so I'm a first-generation American, child of immigrants. That doesn't typically come across when I walk in a room. That means I have a whole other worldview, because when I grew up, I didn't listen to soul music in the 70s and 80s. We listened to a lot of West African drumming music. So when my peers talk about things such as black culture, sometimes I have to act like I know what they're talking about and then go Google it later. Because I didn't necessarily have those experiences growing up, because I grew up with a different type of background, with a diverse background. In terms of the food we ate, everything that we experienced was Ghanaian. So my walk through the world is one of a black male who's also Ghanaian, and I look at the world based on those lenses. I'm a father. That may not be something that comes across, but maybe if you see my gray hair, you'll get it. I'm a husband, blended family. We have 3 boys, 13, 12, and 9, and most days of the week we're barely making it. But we're making it. And that's a whole heap of responsibility and a whole other set of issues that you may not even think about when you encounter me or when you process me, all right, and who I am as a person. I did grow up in the South, so even though my accent sounds like DC or Chicago, I actually lived most of my life in Mississippi and Arkansas. I don't know how I escaped my Southern upbringing without an accent, but I somehow managed to do it. But that's just the world that I live in, and that's the world I came from. And being a child of African immigrants growing up in Arkansas and growing up in Mississippi deserves its own Lifetime movie, and we'll have that conversation later. It was interesting. I'll definitely say it was interesting. I'm an engineer, so I could geek out all day about electrical systems design, but that probably would bore most of you, so we won't go down that path. At some point, I changed my career to education because I love teaching, so I spent time in college campuses. So the way in which I move through the world is, I would say, interesting. But the thing that most people don't know about me is that I'm 6'2". I'm 6'2". Now, I might look like I'm average height, like 5'8"3/4", but in my head, I'm 6'2". When I walk in the room, I'm the tall guy in the room. I don't know what you guys see, but that's what I see, think, and feel. So identity is some of what people project when they encounter us, but it's a lot of who we think we are and how we feel about ourselves. And when we move through organizations, it can reinforce some of those beliefs. It can maybe counteract some of those beliefs. It can make us feel differently about who we are, especially if it lacks inclusion. So just something to think about.